You had me at Toni Collette and Catherine Hardwicke.
Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
Hi, I'm LadyJenevia, your resident defender of Catherine Hardwicke's Twilight as being the best Twilight film. Today, I am so happy to finally be reviewing Catherine Hardwicke's new film, Mafia Mamma. I am so grateful to have been given early access to watch this film ahead of its theatrical release, and let me tell you, I rewatched my screener as many times as I could find time to do so because of how much fun I had with it. I won't be sharing too many spoilers in this review, but some mild ones for the sake of sharing the film's extended logline, and also my feedback of the film with perhaps a couple of examples to support my points. The film's official logline that's been released is longer than what I usually see shared for a logline, but I will say it anyway since I've seen major trades posting it, so I cannot get in trouble for reading the exact same thing that they published. Middle-aged writer Kristen is dealing with her son leaving for college, her sexist boss, and her recently discovered unfaithful husband. During this difficult time, Bianca, her estranged grandfather's trusted advisor, contacts her with news that he has passed away and she must attend his funeral in Italy. Despite initial hesitation, Kristen is convinced by her friend Jenny, who is an outspoken lawyer, that this trip could be just what she needs to start healing herself. However, things take a turn for the worse when the funeral transforms into a violent gunfight, and Kristen discovers that her grandfather wished for her, his last living descendant, to assume the role of boss for the most powerful mafia family in Calabria. If it feels like that logline is revealing too much, I would say that hearing some of the main beats of the story laid out as a list on a piece of paper is very different from actually seeing the story play out in full. If you've ever seen Toni Collette in any film, you probably already know that she is going to serve a performance, which is exactly what she does in this film. Whether it's a moment that's more emotionally dramatic or something with a comedic tone, she puts on a show. One of the things I found especially entertaining that felt fresh and new about Toni's performance in Mafia Mamma compared to some of the other memorable roles that I've seen her in, is that she gets to do some really fun physical comedy. There are certain sequences in Mafia Mamma that were striking similar chords to classic comedy performers that I've watched, like the Marx Brothers, Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges. In general, I think physical comedy is sometimes deprioritized in the creative inception of a story in favor of things like dialogue or really visually bombastic camera work. Seeing Toni Collette do physical comedy and do it as well as she does, it immediately makes the film feel like a classic even though it's a brand new release. I also find that watching Mafia Mamma felt like I was finally getting something I've been missing in the current trends of cinematic releases, which is to have a big name actor like Toni Collette doing a mid-budget comedy free from a pre-existing IP or franchise, and the reason why you ultimately buy into the story and the characters is entirely down to the talent of the performers. The ensemble entertains you, but you also get the sense that they're having fun making the movie. And how can they not when they all got to fly to Italy and be in all these beautiful locations? And I laughed out loud watching this film repeatedly. It was a combination of the lines themselves, the way that performers would deliver those lines, the absurdity of the circumstances. It was just a perfect stew with all of the correct ingredients brought together in exactly the right amount. For example, that logline I read a little bit ago that reveals early on in the film Toni Collette's character, Kristen, has to deal with her husband cheating on her. You knowing that storyline ahead of time does not reveal how much funnier that scene is and the relationship dynamic in general when played out in full. He is a character suffering from a wicked case of arrested development, so on the one hand, you want to hate him. You want to be furious at him for hurting the feelings of the legendary Toni Collette, or any character played by her, but you also kind of like him just for the fact that he's very entertaining. Is he a loser? Yes. Did he make me laugh? Absolutely. Bianca, the character who was the advisor of Kristen's grandfather, she is portrayed by Monica Bellucci, and I have to say, I love that we're seeing her do comedy. I don't think a lot of casual moviegoers would think of Monica Bellucci for the comedy genre, but she's very good in this. And the reason for that is she fully commits to her character. That makes everything funnier. She's not playing her character to be silly or goofy, and that's part of why her lines end up being as funny as they are. Like the phone call of her character Bianca calling Kristen to try to get her to come to Italy for this funeral. There's a very specific exchange on that phone call that made me laugh out loud so much that I had to go back and rewatch it multiple times just because of how much I like that one part. I know that some people might have some sensitivities about the storytelling concept of having the Italian mafia be something entertaining or comedic, but for me personally as a viewer, I merely looked at it as a tool to take someone who at first glance seems ordinary and drop them into extraordinary circumstances to create a fish out of water effect. Of course, if you just don't want to watch a story with mafia in it, then hopefully you will have that same energy towards the tidal wave of propaganda Hollywood loves to pump out. Why exactly is there another Zootopia film being made? You've got a CIA Nepo baby making propaganda films for children, and apparently doing that once wasn't bad enough. The term coming of age comes to mind when watching Mafia Mamma. I'm aware this expression is often applied to either children or young adult characters, but I think it's a concept that can more broadly apply to reinvigorating your life at any age. I feel like I've said this a lot, both on and off of YouTube, but I really love seeing these fun comedies where women are pursuing a reclamation of their lives, and whether or not they're morally upstanding while doing so does not matter to me in the slightest. It's ultimately just about how entertaining they are while doing so. We're talking First Wives Club, Death Becomes Her, Addams Family Values. Mafia Mamma was definitely appealing to me in a manner similar to those films. There's a well-rounded execution of so many different elements in Mafia Mamma. There's the emotional catharsis of seeing this woman who is mistreated by her husband and her boss come into her own. She needs to learn self-love and get more confidence. She does that thing where she's too nice to people, even if they are treating her poorly. So you just really want to watch her set some boundaries and cut toxic people out of her life. Go to Italy, find some good food, a new fling, and go sightseeing. There's also all the comedy that I've mentioned that comes from so many different sources. More or less every major character, whether they are a primary lead or a secondary lead, they all contribute to the overall comedic impact of the film. And they also have really great chemistry with each other, and that is so much fun to watch. When you have people who are funny together, who make each other funnier, they have comedic chemistry, as opposed to watching a film where you might have just one or two comedic characters or performers that are the only real consistent sources of comedy. In Mafia Mamma, the comedy comes from anyone and everyone. And on top of that, with there being that mafia angle, there are some action sequences at one point or another, including the first one that we see at the grandfather's funeral. They're really well done. Now, I personally was not surprised by this because it's Catherine Hardwicke directing. She made the Twilight baseball scene, which, although it might not be classified as an action scene in the traditional sense of fight choreography, it's still a technical masterpiece. The music choice was perfection, and that's why that scene constantly goes viral online. It's just that good. I knew that Catherine Hardwicke would be able to deliver good action. So Mafia Mamma is the perfect melting pot of heart, comedy, and action. And if watching House of Gucci dozens of times was not enough to make me want to book a flight to Italy just to go sightseeing and vibe, Mafia Mamma most definitely enhanced those feelings that were already there. If you've ever had the feeling that the general trends or lineup of cinematic releases is becoming too repetitive, too franchise-oriented, then go support Mafia Mamma. I want to see more movies made that have this type of spirit and sensibility and fun, especially when the word fun isn't just a coded word that actually means pandering and watering everything down to make it palatable to children in an attempt to make more money. I'm not a child. I want a film that speaks speaks to my over the age of 20 brain. Toni Collette was a producer on this film, and I hope that more actresses or actors will take it upon themselves to link up with really cool artists and storytellers so they can get fun, interesting, refreshing projects like Mafia Mamma made. Because like I said before, this is the type of film I've been missing. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more reviews, essays, and interviews. Even though I have already seen Mafia Mamma multiple times by way of the press screener that I had, I'm still going to see it at the cinema because I meant what I said. See you in the next one. Bye.